Why did my crazy old teacher threaten to expel me? It was my first week of school, and I could feel every pair of eyes in first period staring at me, like I just stepped onto a stage. My heart was hammering. I hadn't even unpacked my backpack before Mr. Thomas, my homeroom teacher, leaned against his desk and gave me a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Hey there, good looking," he said, his voice smooth. Almost too smooth. "I think it would be a great idea for you to find some other kids to hang out with, so you feel less lonely." "Less lonely?" I echoed, my voice shaking slightly. "Why, I'm 16. I can manage just fine on my own." I tried to laugh nervously, but the sound came out hollow, even to me. He stepped closer, and the air around him seemed to thicken. "Sit by my desk," he ordered abruptly. "Now. Or else what?" I snapped, trying to sound braver than I felt. "You'll be expelled from school," he said, and for the first time his smile faltered. His eyes darkened. "And you don't want to know how or why." A shiver ran down my spine. The next day my suspicions didn't lessen. They grew. Mr. Thomas appeared in the cafeteria without warning. I was sitting with a small group of us playing cards after lunch, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling that had settled in my chest. "I think you should leave my class," he snapped, peering over my shoulder at the cards I was holding. "Why?" I said, my voice rising, anger mixing with fear. "Get out of here," he barked, and I could feel my blood boiling. One more intrusion into my personal space, and I knew I might lose control. "That's it," he said, his eyes boring into mine like twin daggers. He grabbed the cards from my hands and tossed them across the table. My heart pounded as if it were trying to escape my chest. "We're headed to the principal's office," he said, his grip suddenly firm on my wrist. "But why?" I cried, panic bubbling up. "I didn't do anything wrong. That's what they all say," he muttered, his eyes narrowing to slits. Before I could react, he was dragging me down the hallway. My stomach turned. My parents were going to kill me, even though I had done nothing wrong. When they arrived, I was seated on the principal's bench, my hands trembling. That's when I felt a cold, heavy hand grip my shoulder. "What is it?" I snapped, jerking my head toward my mother. "What's happening?" "I'm sorry, Amy, but this is so unlike you," my mom scolded, her voice tight with worry. "The old man is crazy," I said, trying to sound calm, though my voice trembled. "He's accusing me of things I didn't even do. He shows up uninvited at my lunch table. Yesterday I was just eating and playing cards, when he came out of nowhere and ordered me to the principal's office. I didn't do anything wrong." "Well, what exactly did he accuse you of?" my father asked, frowning. Eyes sharp. Before I could answer, the principal stepped forward, inviting my parents into his office for a private chat. My stomach sank. Every second in that room, I felt smaller, more exposed, as though the walls themselves were closing in. After a tense discussion, my parents returned. My mother's eyes were red from crying. My father reached for her hand, studying her as if holding on to some fragile hope. "Amy," he said quietly, shaking his head. I think it's best that we remove you from this school. We're afraid it's not a good fit." "What?" I whispered, my voice shaking. Tears threatened to spill down my face. "What have I done?" "Your teacher says I'm struggling emotionally, that you've been skipping school and that your grades are low," my father said. "We've decided to transfer you to a new school." I opened my mouth to protest, but the words caught in my throat. I was relieved to be away from Mr. Thomas, yet terrified that everything being said about me was a lie. It wasn't until we got home that my mom finally sat me down in the living room. Her hands were shaking. "We need to talk," she said. I felt my stomach drop. I braced myself. "Mr. Thomas," she said quietly, "your teacher is currently being investigated." That was all she would tell me at the time. I sat there, a knot of fear twisting tighter in my chest, my mind running wild. What had he done? Was I safe? Was anyone safe? About a year later, I finally learned the truth. Mr. Thomas had been fired from teaching. Not because of me, not because of anything I had done, but for reasons far worse. The horror of it settled over me like a shadow. All along, my instincts had been right. The man had been dangerous. And all I could think about was how close I had been to someone who should never have been allowed near students. Even now, thinking back, I can still feel that chill,